Okay. Right. Right. So next topic is how to interaction or how to interact with locators. In Playwright terminology, we will call it as locators. In Selenium terminology, we will call it as web elements. That means like you have text boxes, radio buttons, check boxes, links, like that you have different kind of web elements. So how to perform actions on these elements like click, type, select, like this kind of actions, how to perform it? Locators. So we'll call it as web elements. So how to perform action on the locator? So to perform action on the locator, first you need to identify the locator. That means you need to identify the element. First step is you need to identify element. The first step is you need to identify the element or locator. Once you identify it, then you can perform action. After identification, then you can perform action. Perform action on the element, on the locator. So first you need to identify the locator and then perform the action. Without identification, you cannot perform action on the element. Okay. So now the thing is how to identify the element. How to identify locator. How to identify locator. See, to identify locator, generally we are going to use CSS selector and then we are trying to use XPath. And third approach is something like properties. So using these three approaches, normally you are trying to identify the element. But the third approach is very rarely people are trying to use. But most of the time people are trying to use CSS selector and XPath. CSS selector and XPath. These two are generic way. Most of the time people are trying to use it to identify the element. Apart from these two, Playwright is also provided some kind of built-in locators. Playwright is provided some methods to identify the locators. So Playwright built-in locators. Playwright built-in locators. So what are all the built-in locators? Okay, so let us go to this official documentation. Go to this playwright.dev, get started. Search for locators. See, these are all the recommended built-in locators. So the Playwright is provided some kind of built-in locators methods. So using these methods, we are identifying the element or we are identifying the locators. Okay, so we will discuss about these built-in locators in the coming section. But Most of the time, people are trying to use this CSS selector and XPath and these built-in locators. As an automation test engineer, our goal is identify the element. No matter which approach you are using under. Sometimes some of the guys, they'll try to use built-in locators. Some of the guys, they try to use either CSS or XPath. Still, every day it is a debatable topic. Again, that is completely depends upon your project guidelines. People will go ahead with that approach. But normally, you can use any one of the approach to identify the element. Okay, right. So we will discuss about this built-in locators in the coming sections. Okay, so let us discuss about this CSS and XPath. Okay. See, on the browser, you can identify this CSS and XPath. From the browser, you can capture this CSS and XPath. So identify CSS and XPath from browser. So using browser, how you can identify this CSS and XPath from the browser. Okay, right. So let us take the application. Let us take one application. Let us take a Google application. Now see, I want to enter some text in the text box. This is the text box. So if I want to enter some text, first I should identify this text box. Then what shall I do? Right click on the text box. Right click on the text box. Right click and inspect. Whichever the element you want to identify, first right click and then inspect. So after clicking on inspect, below information is highlighted like this. So this is HTML documentation. That means this is the HTML code. We will call it as a DOM. We will call it as a DOM, document object model. So this is the HTML code which is using by developers to develop this web application. And this is the information which is using by the developers to develop this text box center. Now, in our automation, we are going to use this information. Based on this, we are identifying the CSS and XPath. Okay. So after right click, below information is highlighted. Below information is highlighted. Right. Now see, if you observe it, this is HTML code. This is HTML code. This HTML code which is using to define the web pages. So here, after less than symbol, the first one, whatever it is there, that is called tag name. After less than symbol, whatever it is there, that is called tag name. The tag name represents what kind of element it is, whether it is a input related thing or link or drop down or a web table or a frame, like it is representing. Okay, so the tag is representing what kind of element it is. And after tag name, remaining things under everything you are seeing in the form of key and value, like JS name, class, area-controls, name, role, like this. It contains number of attributes. Some of the guys, they call it as properties.
Oh, okay.
Some of the guys, they call it as attributes.
Okay. Oh,
Uh, can you keep it in mute? Or do you have any doubt? Okay.
oh,
Okay. So this is the information. Based on this information only, we are identifying the element. Okay. Right. So this is the tag name. And the remaining things and all attributes. And these attributes or properties are going to play an important role. Copy element. Let us capture it. Element information. Just example. Element info. Okay. So based on this element info, so these attributes are playing an important role to identify the element with uniqueness. These attributes are going to play an important role to identify the element with uniqueness. Okay. So this is the information, right? The first one is the tag name. So text area. This is the tag name. The remaining things and all, they are in the form of key and value. Example, name is equal to, let's say, Q. This name is equal to Q. So what is this? This is property. Or some of the guys, they call it as attribute. Okay, right. Right. So this is the element information which is highlighted. I want to capture the CSS selector and XPath. What you need to do is right click on the element information, copy. There is an option called copy select. There is an option called copy select. Copy selector means which is using to capture the CSS selector. Copy selector means this is a CSS selector. And we have different kind of options like copy XPath and copy full XPath. Okay, right. So what is the navigation? So right click on highlighted info. On that highlighted info, right click. After that, click on copy. And then after copy and select the option called copy select. This is for what? This is for CSS. Then what about like XPath? Say, right click on highlighted info, copy XPath or copy full XPath. So XPath point of view, it is showing two options. One is XPath and the second thing is full XPath. See, but while working on the projects, people are not preferring to use this full XPath. Okay, why? We will see. Okay, so this is the navigation. Right click on the highlighted info, copy, copy select. Okay, so as part of this example, so on this, how you are going to select it? Right click, copy, copy select. Click on it. So after clicking on it, so this is the CSS selector for that element. This is the CSS selector for this element. Okay, right now it is giving in one word, but don't think that always it is giving the CSS selector within this one word or two words. Depends upon the structure of the HTML. You will see 2 or 3 lines of CSS and XPaths also. You are going to see in the coming sections practically. Okay. Right now, for this element information, this is the CSS select. Then what about like XPath? Example. Right click, copy. See here we are choosing copy XPath. This is a copy XPath. Let us capture full XPath also. Copy, copy full XPath. Copy full XPath. Okay, right. So here it is showing two options. One is copy XPath and the second thing is copy full XPath. Okay. So now, first of all, what is XPath? What is XPath? What is XPath? What is XPath? See, XPath means XML path. It is XML path. It is XML path. Okay. Next. So what XPath is giving? XPath is giving the address of an element on the web page, or it is giving the location of the element on the web page, or it is giving the position of the element on the web page. It is telling you that where the element is located on the web page. It is giving address or location or the position of element on the web page. It is giving address or location or the position of element on the web page. Okay, right. So we have different types of XPaths. Types of XPaths. What are all the types of XPath? The first one, it is full XPath, or some of the persons, they call it as complete XPath, or some of the persons, they call it as absolute XPath. Full XPath or complete XPath or absolute XPath. The second one is partial XPath. partial XPath. And third one is relative XPath. Relative XPath. Relative XPath. See, actually, some of the trainers or some of the articles and blogs, they are telling this partial XPath and relative XPath both are same. That's why they are saying like types of XPaths are two. One is full XPath and the second thing is partial XPath or relative XPath. Like that, they will tell that. But there is a slight difference is there. Okay, what is that difference? We'll see. Okay, so these are all the types of XPaths. So what is this types of what is this full XPath? The full XPath, it is giving the address of an element from the root level of the page. It is giving the address of an element from the root level. It is providing the address of an element from the root level of the page. So root level. So what is this root level? Root level means it is starting from /html. That means the HTML page, it is starting with this HTML tag. This is the root level of the page. So from this tag name till the element, it is giving the complete address, like giving an address of a person from the beginning onwards. Like, where is your, the name in India, in state, in district, in so and so mandal, in so and so taluk, so nearby area. So like this, it's giving the complete address. If you see this HTML page, if you see this HTML page, this is the element. This element information, it is a starting from the root level. So this is the root level. So from this point till this element, it is giving the address. So example, so this is the example. This is the example. So how to understand this XPath? See, actually this is the element. This is the element because this is the tag name for the element. But what happened? It is a starting, it is giving the address from the root level. It is giving the address from the root level. So this is HTML. From this HTML till this element, it is giving the address. So how it is giving or how it is generated the path. Now see, this is the HTML. This is the root level. Under this HTML, body is the child of the HTML. Single slash is representing child. So under HTML, body. Under body, div2. Under div2, div4. Under div4, they have implemented the form. Under the form, again there are number of div sections. Somewhere it is present text area. So whenever you are trying to capture the full XPath or absolute XPath, it is giving the address from the root level of the page. Whenever it is giving the address from the root level, definitely the length of the XPath is very high. See, for this element, at least you are seeing in the one line. you are going to see some of the elements like 2 or 3 lines also. You are going to see practically. Using this much lengthy XPath, it is very, very difficult. And readability also a problem. The readability. While reading this much lengthy XPath, it is very, very difficult. At the time of identifying the element also, it's very difficult to identification. And whenever you try to use this lengthy XPath and let's say while writing or while using this much lengthy XPath, instead of like someone, suppose accidentally if you write something like 2, then the identification of the element, it is very, very difficult. So that means debugging is also very, very difficult. So that's why people are not preferring to use the full XPath or absolute XPath because it is generating the address of an element from the root level of the page. It is giving a lengthy XPaths. Readability is problem, maintenance is problem, parsing is problem. So that's why people are not encouraged to use this much lengthy XPaths. Right. So this is for complete XPath. This is an example for complete XPath. Okay. Right. Now, then what about like partial or relative XPath? Now see, whenever you are choosing this copy XPath, internally it is trying to generate either partial XPath or relative XPath. Internally, whenever you are choosing this copy XPath, it is trying to generate either partial XPath or relative XPath. Okay. So now see, in this example, it is generated this relative XPath. In this example, it is generated this relative XPath. Why? So this is the relative XPath. Why? See, whenever it is trying to capture the XPath, first it is going to check in the element information, is there any attribute called ID? Is it containing any attribute like ID? Yes, we have this ID attribute. Generally, this or browser related plugins, some third party plugins, they are internally working based on the ID attribute. They are taking ID as the reference. Based on the ID, they are trying to generate the XPath or CSS selector. Now, in this example, we have ID. So that's why directly it is generated this XPath like this. Like this. Assuming that if ID is not there, in the element information, if ID is not there, then how it is trying to generate? So how they are going to generate is If ID is not there, then it is looking for its parent. It is looking for its parent. Assuming that, suppose this text area does not contain ID. So this is the element. For this element, what is the parent in this XPath? This is the element. For this element, the parent is what? Div of 3. See, div of 3 is the parent for this text area. So for this div of 3, text area is the child because it contains single slash. Single slash is representing immediate child or direct child. Okay, suppose if text area does not contains ID, then it is looking for its parent. That means div of 3. In the div of 3 section, if ID is there or not, it will check internally. In the parent level also, if ID is not there, then it is looking for its parent. What is that? Div of 1. That means for this text area, div of 1 is the grandparent. Okay, now internally it is looking for div of 1. In that div of 1 level also, it is going to check whether ID attribute is there or not. So if in that area also, if div of 1 is not there, in its ancestor levels, it is trying to check. So in the ancestor levels, wherever ID is there, from that point till this element it is trying to generate, then it would become like partial XPath. This is relative XPath. Relative XPath means directly on that element information, it contains ID. Based on that ID, they generated this XPath. But if ID is not there, then they are trying to generate the XPath like parent level or grandparent level or grand-grandparent level or in its ancestor level. Wherever ID is there, from that point till this element, it is trying to generate the XPath. Okay, let us see the example. Let's say this is the Telugu link. This is the Telugu link. Right click, inspect. See, this is the information which is highlighting. Right click, copy, right click, copy, copy XPath. Now what happened? Actually, this is the element. This element does not contain ID. Then it is looking for its parent. The parent of A3, I think, see, this is the third element, right? That means third link. 1, 2, 3. That's why it is A of 3, it is showing like this. So all the links are present under where? Under one div section. That means this is the parent. These are all the direct childs of this parent. So in this Telugu link, it does not contain ID attribute. It contains only href. It does not contain ID attribute. So then what it is trying to do? It is looking for its parent. That means div section. In this div section, it contains ID. So from this position till this element, it is trying to generate. That's why it is partial XPath. Then what about this? This is directly element contains ID attribute. Based on that ID, it is generating this XPath under. So this is relative XPath. Okay. Let us capture this Google search. Google search button. Right click, inspect. Right click, inspect. Right click, inspect. So this is the information which is highlighting for this element. Right click, copy XPath. I am trying to identify either partial XPath or relative XPath. Okay. Now, what happened? Actually, this is the element. This element does not contain ID. It is looking for its parent. What is the parent of this input one?
Center.
Center. The center is also not contains ID. It is looking for its parent, div of 3. Div of 3 is also not contains ID, div of 1. Div of 1 is also not contains. So it's keep on checking. Wherever the ID is there, it is trying to generate, but nowhere it is found. Then it is a start generating from the root level, that is HTML. That means in this case, you have chosen the XPath, but it is giving the full XPath because they are generating based on the ID reference. All browser tools, it's browser or browser related plugins, they are trying to work based on the ID reference. They are taking internally ID is the reference, based on that they are trying to generate. But whenever you are going for an interview, some of the interview persons, they will open a website and they will ask you to write your own XPath or CSS select. They don't want like capturing the element under. So this is everybody will do that. But they will check whether you are able to write your own XPath or not. Why? See, if you are depending on this kind of browser or browser related tools, they are working based on the ID because they will consider only ID reference. They will consider only ID is the reference. But other than the ID, they won't. We have so many attributes are there. Now see, if you say this element information, there are so many attributes are there. Like name is there, max length, special. There are so many things are there. They will not consider. It considers only ID. So what you are going to do is, based on that element information, you are going to start writing your own XPaths and CSS selectors. Whenever you start writing your own XPath and CSS selectors, this kind of browser tools or browser, what it is generating, you are not going to depend on it. Because they are considered only ID. Though we have number of attributes, because they won't consider. So that's why start writing your own XPaths and CSS selectors. Okay. So how to write your own XPath and CSS selector? Okay. So we'll call it as customize. How to write your own XPath or customized XPath. Customized XPath. How to write? See, while writing customized XPath, you are going to follow this syntax. That's why for the partial XPath and the relative XPath, they are starting with this 2 backslashes. Some of the persons or some of the articles, they'll tell that like a relative XPath or partial XPath, both are same and all. Why? Because they are starting with this notation. They are starting with this symbol. But there is a slight difference. Okay. Now here, okay, customized XPath, how you need to write your own XPath and all. Okay. So slash slash, here you are writing this tag name slash slash tag name and then square bracket @ attribute is equal to here the value. This value you can keep it in the single quote or double quotes. Anything is fine. This is the syntax you are going to follow. While specifying the attributes, you are going to use @ for the attributes. Okay. Now, this is the element information. Copy element. This is the element information, right? So based on this element information, I want to write my own XPath. Slash 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 slash.
Input.
What is the tag name? Input. Input. Okay. So here, okay, it does not contain any ID attribute. Okay, it'll go with some other attribute. Let's say here I'll take another attribute called name. So @name is equal to, this is a BTNK. So you can keep it in the single quote or double quote. Anything is fine. BTNK. Okay, right. So take this XPath. And then after writing your own XPath, you need to check whether this is correct or not. That means for this XPath, whether element is giving output or not. That you need to check. Right. So how to verify the customized XPath? Whatever you have written, the XPath is correct or not, you need to check. So what you need to do? See, go to this browser. See, the first one is elements. In this elements, it is showing this HTML code under. Go to this console section. Click on this console. Click on this clear console. Click on this clear console. Click on here. Now this total information would be cleared. Click. Now here, to verify the XPath, you have to use $x function. $x function. To verify the XPath, we have to use $x function. So within the double quotes, you have to specify. Within the double quotes, whatever you have written, the XPath, that you need to put it. Put this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here within the double quotes, you need to specify this XPath. Within the double quotes, you need to specify this XPath. Okay, so after adding it, just click on it. Now it is showing like 2 outputs. That means whatever you have written, that XPath For that, there are two matching elements are showing. But we need to see which element is ours. So for this X path, it is showing like two elements. So which one is ours? The first one is not ours. I think it is pointing somewhere. Now this is the second one. Now this is the second. This is the second one. So we need to point out the second element. So how you are going to point out the second? Because ultimately we need to point out the unique element. So whatever you have written the X path, for this X path, there are two matching elements, but in that two, one is ours. So this is the second. So how to specify the second? So what you need to do is, see this complete X path, put it in the bracket like this. This complete X path, you can put it in the bracket like this. And this is the second element, right? So here you are going to specify the second. Normally, what people are giving is, since it is the second element, there you are giving like index number 1. Like this, people are giving it. Like this, people are giving it. Like this, people are giving it. Okay? But what is XPath? XPath is giving the address or the location. So, what is the location of this element? Second, right? So, directly here you are trying to give the location number. That means second. So, here you should give like 2. You should not give like 1 under. Normally, if it is index, you are going to give 1. But here, for the XPath point of view, you are giving index center. Sorry, you are giving the location. So since it is the second element, you are giving like second. Check whether it is working or not. Perfect. So now, after giving the output also, don't go blindly. Just highlight it, whether it is pointing to the correct element or something else it is pointing. Perfect. Okay. So directly based on this element information, directly you are going here. You are going to this element. See, if you don't want to use this index, you can go somewhere like, to the parent level. From the parent level also, you can try to identify this element under. That is also you can do that under. But right now, based on this element information, directly we are writing like this. This is one way. Suppose if you want to write based on this parent information, I think the parent is a center. Okay, so let us check with the center is also whether it is pointing or not. Center. Okay, so here again for this center also, like there are two matching elements are. I think with this name attributes, there are two matching elements under. Okay, so it's up to you and all. See, our main thing is identify the element with the uniqueness. Okay, so maybe like the center is also not working. I think you need to go a little bit one more position up and then you can identify. Okay, so that's why it is showing like this. But anyway, so right now here I am able to identify the element with this kind of like position. The same thing you can also write it in another way also. How you can write it? See here also the same thing. See here you can specify there is a method called position. There is a method called position. Position is equal to 2. In the XPath library, there is a method called position method. To specify the number, here you are using this position is equal to 2. You can give this way, or you can use another method called position. Using this position also, you can identify this element. Perfect. Okay, right. Okay, see, this is a continuous topic. Going forward, we will try to work with number of elements under. So whenever we try to work with elements, we will see how you can write different kind of XPaths and CSS selectors in different ways under. Okay, so this is for the writing the XPath. Now see which one is better. This is browser generated. Now this is you have written the XPath. Which one is better? Writing this one is better or writing this one is better? See, some of the elements you will see like even 2 or 3 lines also for the XPaths and CSS selectors. The browser is giving like 2 or 3 lines of XPaths and CSS selectors. You will see such kind of elements also. So that's why in the interview point of view, some of the interview persons, especially they will ask, they will give one website and okay, how you are going to identify the XPath? Can you write the XPath for this element? So like that they will ask. Okay, so we'll try to use different kind of access. That means based on the sibling, you are going to identify the element. Following sibling concepts, ancestor, like there are different type of concepts are there. So going forward, you will see those concepts under. So how you can write your own XPath and CSS selector. Whenever you start writing your own XPath and CSS selectors, this kind of, so you will not depend on what browser is trying to generate and all. Obviously, the browser, they're trying to generate somewhat a kind of like lengthy XPaths and CSS selectors because they are taking ID is the reference. Though we have a number of attributes, internally they will take it, ID is the reference, based on that they are working on it. Okay, right. This is writing the XPath. Then what about like CSS? How to write the own CSS? See, while writing CSS, you need not to write this kind of double slash. This double slash is applicable for only for XPath. Okay, no need to write this double slash like this. And even the tag name is also optional. If you want, you can write, else you can leave it. Okay, the tag name is also optional. Directly, you can write this attribute. See, while specifying the attribute also, no need to mention @ symbol. For the XPath, you are using this @ symbol. For the CSS selectors, you need not to use any kind of special symbol under. Attribute is equal to directly value. That's it. attribute is equal to directly value. Okay. Now see, for based on this element information. Okay. So I told you, if you want, you can write this tag name. Else, this is also optional. Okay. So now I'll take an attribute called class name. I'll take an attribute called class name. Class is equal to this one. Class is equal to this one. So check whether it is pointing or not. Copy is equal to this one, right? Now here you are using $x function for to verify the X path. To verify CSS selector, you are using $$ function. You are using $. $$ for CSS selector. This again. So with this also it is showing like two elements. So I think the second one is ours. So how you are going to point out the second element? So to point out the second element in the CSS selector, see here you need to use colon. Here you need to use colon. Colon. Since it is the second element, here you need to give the index. In case of XPath, there you are giving position. In case of CSS selector, you need to give the position, the index. So since second element, you need to give the index is 1. So to point out the index, here you are giving, there is a special kind of method called nth child. There is a method called nth child of 1. Nth child of 1. I think again it is matching with this. Okay. So let us capture. Okay, let us do one thing. Right click, copy selector. So what browser is trying to generate? Now see, it is giving this much lengthy thing and it is giving. This is absolute XPath is giving. This is also complete CSS selector it is giving. This is input. Right now, whatever we did that class is equal to GNB. I think don't worry, we'll look into that. Actually, this is the element input. But actually for that element also, I think, see, this is input, the center, and from this location, I am trying to identify this element. So from this parent, from here to here, I am trying to write the CSS selector. So for that, this is the CSS selector. Okay. So, but anyway, don't worry. We'll see like even how to write this CSS selector and all those things. Okay. So in this case also, no, not this one. In this case also, okay, here we are writing like this input. So for this also, I think this syntax is not going to work out, I think. and the child one. The syntax is wrong. Uncaught in the double collar, so it's not valid. Okay, so there may be some. Okay, so some syntax is wrong under. Okay, so how to write this kind of syntax? We'll talk about it. Okay, so in while writing CSS selector also, whenever you are using some special kind of attributes, that time you can use some special kind of symbols. No need to write class is equal to so and so, something like this. So for the shortcut for the class is dot. No need to write this class is equal to this value under. Simply you can use dot this value. That means how it is understanding, okay, this guy is trying to use class attribute. This guy is trying to use class attribute. Okay, this is the value of that class attribute. Like that, it will interpret it. Okay, so while using CSS selector for the class and ID, it has shortcuts. Whenever you are using ID attribute, there is a shortcut called hash. While using CSS selector, whenever you are using ID attribute, for the ID attribute, the shortcut is hash. Similarly, if you are trying to use class name, class attribute, the shortcut is dot. So for these two attributes, we have shortcut under. For the remaining attributes, you have to use as usually like this. Which one? Attribute is equal to value. Like this, you need to use it. Okay. So we'll see how to write our own XPaths and CSS selectors. So this is one of the interview question. What is the difference between CSS and XPath? See, performance point of view, a little bit faster the CSS. CSS is a little bit faster when comparing with XPath. But CSS always in the forward direction only. It cannot move in the reverse direction. Whereas XPath, it can move in the forward direction and reverse direction. That means backward direction also. The syntax is very simple in case of CSS selector when comparing with XPath. That means while writing the XPath, here you need to use this forward slashes and then tag name at the red symbol. This kind of things and all you need to use in the XPath. But here writing the tag name is also optional. You don't require to write like this kind of forward slashes and then no need to use this at the red symbol, all those things. Okay, right. So how to use these XPaths and CSS selectors in the practically in the script level, and based on that, how you need to identify the element and then performs the action. So that we will talk about in the next class. Okay. Yes. Any doubts? our focus is writing our own XPaths and CSS selectors, capturing the element information using XPath and CSS selector using browser. Everybody will do that. Okay, the browser has the facility to provide the XPaths and CSS selectors. And similarly, there is another third-party tool, another third-party plugin that is called Selectors Hub. Selectors Hub, that is another third-party plugin. Using this plugin also, people are trying to use this XPath and CSS selectors. This is a third-party plugin. And this one you can add it for the Chrome browser, and then using this also you can identify the element. So selectors hub, selectors hub. See, this is a plugin for the Chrome. Just select it, and here for me it is already added in the Chrome browser. So that's why it is showing like remove from Chrome. In your case, if it is not added, it is going to show like install. Okay. So once it is installed, what you can see, what you can do is like when you can identify this, let's say here, right click, inspect. Okay. Right click and inspect. Now see, this is the element information. On the right hand side, whatever you are seeing, this is CSS information. That means at the time of developing this web page, the developers, they are using this CSS information. Now see here, styles, CSS styles, computed layout, right click on it and see there is you will see another option, I think. Right, see, there is an option called selector sub option. Actually, here you will see this option. Actually, here normally you are going to see this option. Right click. It is not showing. Okay, right click, selector sub. Okay, now see here, you can choose ID, copy ID or relative expert, anything you can choose it in there. I think it should, I think for me, I should restart the browser. Normally, you are going to see this option where after right click, style, computed layout, and see here you are seeing something like double greater than. After clicking on it, you will see something like selector sub option normally. I think I should restart my browser or something. Okay, I need to do that. Okay, so then it is appearing like this, and that window it is going to, this is the element information it is showing in the left hand side, and the right hand side it is showing with that XPath, CSS, IDs, all those information under it is going to show in the right hand side. I think for me, like I should restart the browser. Okay, so this is the some third-party plugin, Selectors Hub. Okay, even this selector hub also internally at the time of identifying, based on the ID attribute only, they are trying to identify the XPath and CSS selectors and other information. Hmm. Right. Yeah. So any doubts before closing?